Hello and welcome to Nails Pro Academy. I'm Anastasia and today I have a very special guest with us, Doug Schoon. Thank you so much for coming.
Hello. Nice to see you all.
And we decided to give some useful information for you because you guys have been asking, what should I do for enhancement to last long? So we decided with Doug to share some 7 tips that will be very useful for you. And one of them is choosing a good product. So Doug, can you tell us how to choose and how to tell which product is bad and which one is good, especially when you're just getting started?
Yeah, that's a very common question that a lot of people ask me, especially starting out, because they don't have a lot of experience. So everyone's got a different opinion on what they should and shouldn't do. My advice to you is this, especially if you're new, is find a good, strong company that you believe in, a company that has good education and has a good reputation, and then not only just follow that company, but follow their education, follow their recommendations, follow their directions, and use their products as directed. That's probably how you're going to get the best success, because there's a lot of unanticipated consequences that can happen when we start using products together that aren't intended to be, are designed to be used together. And things can go wrong, and then what happens? You don't know what to do. So you call one manufacturer, they can't help you, but you're not using the product the way they told you to. So it's best to use the products as described, follow the directions, and then get with a company that has really good education that can back you up and give you educational support and answer your questions. This is really, really important because no one knows everything. So be able to have a company behind you that can share their knowledge and information with you is probably going to be one of your best assets starting out.
So it is better to do some research first and learn about the company and then decide whether you want to work with this product or not?
Exactly. There's a lot of good companies out there. And to me, the one way to tell great companies from good companies is by their education. A company that invests in education, those are the great companies because they see the value of education. They want you to be successful. They want you to use their products in a way that you're going to be successful and the clients are going to be happy. Some companies will just give you the product and say, use it any way you want. Those are the companies that aren't supporting you educationally. And I don't think that they should be supported by nail technicians. It's important that these products be educated properly. So find someone who can teach you how to use the products well and who can provide you with the answers you need when you have questions. That's how you can tell a good company from just an okay company.
Tip number 2 is nail preparation. So when we prep our nail, there are certain steps that we need to follow, but some nail technicians just skip them or do them incorrectly. So Doug, can you share some advice on what exactly we should do to prep the nails to be sure that the enhancement will last long and not to damage the nail plate?
Well, there's 2 things you need to consider when it comes to long-term durability or adhesion. One is the cleanliness of the surface. If your surface isn't clean, you're not going to get good adhesion. There's small pieces of skin, oil or debris on the nail plate. It's going to block adhesion. Just like if you put butter in a frying pan, the egg's not going to stick. So you want to take the time to carefully prepare the nail. Clean off all the debris, all the tissue. Wipe the oils from the surface. Start with a nice, clean, dry surface, and you're going to get the best adhesion. But remember this, you can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. If the nail plate is thin and flexible, your enhancement isn't going to be very strong. It's not going to adhere to it well. So you can overfile the nail plate. Don't. The more you file the nail plate, the thinner you'll make the nail plate, the more flexible it'll become, and the more difficult it'll be to hold on to it with the product. So keep the nail plate as thick as it can possibly be. Prepare that nail carefully. Make sure it's clean before you start. And then when you properly apply the products, following the directions, you're going to get the best results.
That's a great advice. So after preparation, we apply dehydrator and primer. Are there any also advice on how to use them? Because I've seen so many, some people just misuse them or use them incorrectly.
Well, that's again why it's best to follow the directions. The manufacturers have studied how to do this so they know what will give the best result and they'll give you the best advice. Typically what they'll say is use a dehydrator first because it's temporarily removing moisture from just the surface of the nail. Moisture in the nail is okay. It's not going to harm adhesion. We just don't want it on the surface when we're putting the product on there. So a dehydrator temporarily dries the surface probably for 15 or 20 minutes until you can get good adhesion. Of course, if you blow on the nails or touch them again, skin, they'll become recontaminated with moisture, and then it'll block adhesion. So don't let the client touch their nails or blow on them after you've dehydrated them. Then if your product calls for a primer, use a primer. And remember, more is not better with primers. Less is best. If you put too much primer on, it can actually block adhesion, believe it or not. It can weaken the bond. So don't use too much primer. One thin coat to completely cover the nail and avoiding skin contact is probably how most manufacturers will tell you to use their product. That's how most primers are designed to be used.
Next tip is using base coat. And I think it's the same for gels, for hard gels, for gel polishes. You need to use it, but you need to use it properly. So any tips about base coats?
Yeah, base coats are made for a reason. You usually see them with nail polish, and they do more than people imagine with nail polish. First off, if your polish is only lasting a day or two and you're not wearing base coat, that could be a reason why. Base coats improve adhesion, and they protect the nail from the color so they don't stain. Especially dry, damaged nails, they can pick up color and become more stained. But base coats, or sometimes they're called primers, whatever goes underneath the gel polish, whatever goes under there is to anchor the product to the nail plate better, because these products don't adhere to the nail plate on their own. So they need something to go between them and the nail to improve adhesion. So whether you call them a primer or a base coat, all these products are designed to improve adhesion to the nail. So properly clean that nail and use these products properly and wisely. That's usually your best course to ensuring you get great adhesion.
But should we use base coat all the time, or it depends on the system?
I think it's going to depend totally on the product. Some products are designed to be used with a base coat, some are not. And if you use a product that's designed not to be used with a base coat, but you use a base coat anyway, excuse me, that could actually lower adhesion and make the product not work as well. So believe me, manufacturers put a lot of time and energy into figuring out how to make these products work the best. If you come up with a better idea, share it with them, and maybe everyone can learn. But if you get out on your own and just start doing things, experimenting, you're probably not going to get the best possible results.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So then we need to do the product application, and you need to know how to do it properly and do it properly. But also there are some things you need to know about the application, because improper application might cause lifting, breaks of the nail, many things. So what about application?
Yeah, how the product is applied is extremely important. If you put it on too thin or too thick, you can have problems. There's a nice area right in between there where it's neither. It's the right thickness. Or if you use a liquid and powder, too much liquid and not enough powder, or the reverse. All of these things can lead to the product not wearing properly. Low durability, cracking, breaking, chipping. All these problems are usually oftentimes related to either improper preparation or improper application. So using the correct lamp, using the correct powder, using the correct ratios, properly prepping the nail plate, all of this is part of proper application. It's not just how you paint it onto the nail plate that's application. It's all part of the application process. So pay attention to all of it, because they all link together to ensure that you're going to get the best results.
Right. So besides application, there's another typical mistake that leads to many problems, such as undercured product. And I always thought, you just cure it for a long time and that's it. But it's not as simple, right?
Well, again, we can undercure or we can overcure products. Overcuring products, generally that's only going to happen in the salon. And that happens when the lamp isn't proper for the product, or the product is put on too thickly, and we get a heat spike that burns the nail plate, burns the nail bed, and causes onycholysis and can lead to infections. That's usually the most common kind of overcuring, these heat spikes that burn the nail bed. If you're not getting a heat spike that burns the nail bed, you're probably not overcuring. Undercuring is the greater issue, because if we don't properly cure, we don't even know it sometimes, because the nails will harden when they're only 50% cured. So just because your nail is hardened and you're filing on it doesn't mean it's fully cured. It could be 60% cured. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means you could have lower durability. You could have more service breakdown. Clients will have more problems. But the greater risk is to the nail technician, because what doesn't properly cure can come out into the dust or into the filings or in the solvent when we soaked off the nails, and it can expose the client or expose the nail technician to these undercured or improperly cured dust and filings. Not one exposure, not two, but after many exposures to these dust and filings, we can create a situation called overexposure that can lead to allergic reactions. And allergic reactions are permanent. Excuse me, a little bit of a cough here. They're permanent. Once you develop an allergic reaction, it's for life, and they'll become worse over time. So you want to avoid allergic reactions at all costs, because once you become sensitive to an ingredient in a product, it might be in other products. You become sensitive to other ingredients, and now you have to find another job. So please pay attention to proper curing if you want to have a long, prosperous, and safe career in the nail industry.
So if we experience, our clients experience heat spike, that means where something is wrong, or is it okay to experience them sometimes?
Well, a little bit of warmth is okay. It's when the client is having a heat spike where they have to pull their hands out of the light. Something is wrong. That shouldn't happen. Excuse me. When you pull the hands out of the light, it doesn't stop the cure. You can put them back in, and the curing will continue. What some people do to keep this from happening is they'll put the hands in the light slowly, not push them in too quickly. But the best thing of all is to make sure you use the right lamp with the right gel. If you use the right lamp with the gel that it was designed to properly cure, you probably won't get heat spikes, and you probably won't get undercuring. Since you can't look at the gel and know when it's undercured, the best thing to do is use the right lamp that's designed to be used with the gel of your choice.
Next tip is filing. So after application, we need to file and shape the nail so it will look beautiful. So any tips on perfect filing?
Yes, when it comes to filing, don't overfile. As I said before, we can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. If we overfile the nail plate, we just create problems for ourselves and our clients. The nail will be more flexible, harder to adhere to, more likely to crack and split, especially if it has weaknesses already built into it. So all we want to do is file just enough to take off the shine on the surface of the nail, which is a little bit of oil. That most of that should have been removed by proper cleaning with a brush and soap and water anyway. So when we file, we want to file lightly, not to thin the nail, but just to rough up the surface a little bit so we get better adhesion. Back in the old days, product didn't adhere very well to the nail plate. So nail technicians had to file a lot to get good adhesion. That's no longer true. Great products adhere better than ever, and we don't have to overfile the nail plate. But unfortunately, a lot of veteran nail technicians are still teaching overfiling techniques. Every time we file, that nail plate gets thinner. We file to apply, we file to remove, then we file to apply again, we file to remove. By the time the nail gets off the free edge, it's weak and thin, and that's where we get free edge separation, where the nail plate separates from at the very tip. So keep that nail thick. That's the best gift you can give to your client.
Yeah, and what about filing of the products? Because, sometimes you just apply too much, so you have to file a lot.
Same happens with the product being filed. We can overfile the product and create weaknesses. So here's what's best to do. Sculpt with your brush, not with your file or your electric file. If you put a lot of product on and file it all off, that costs you time and it costs you money, and it's a lot of work. Work on your shoulder, on your neck, on your back. Better to sculpt those nails thin and beautiful, and then just use the file to refine and shape, not to reduce the bulk down and make them thinner. That work should be done by the brush, not by not applying too much product from the beginning.
Oh, I love that. Sculpt with your brush, not with your file or electric file. That should be a quote. So these were tips for long-lasting enhancement from Doug Schoon. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. And if you guys understand and feel like you want to learn more, it's not enough just to know that having a good primer is important. You need to know how it works, why it works like that. So if you feel like it, the Doug has a special series called Face-to-Face with Doug Schoon. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
I used to go around and tell people in presentations everything I thought that they needed to know. And then people would ask me questions, and I started realizing their questions are far more interesting. So I changed my whole presentation style to where now I answer people's questions, because that's what people want to know, the answers to their questions. So my entire Face-to-Face with Doug Schoon is based on questions from nail technicians from all around the world. If you join, you can see all the answers to those questions, but you can also send me your questions, and I'll answer them, and they'll end up in future videos. But I do a new video each month. So that way you can stay current with what's happening in the world today. You can get best information available and bust the myths and get the misinformation away from you so that you're not fooled by it. So please check out Face to Face with Doug Schoon.
Yes, I encourage you to do that. And let us guys know, what do you think? Have you used these tips in the comments? And do you think that education is important for nail techs? Because I believe it is crucial. This is something we definitely should do to be able to understand why the products happen and just to prevent them. Thank you very much, Doug, for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.